Today, let's talk about stress test teams for the purposes of quality control. So what exactly is a stress test team or a red team, and why do you need one? Well, it's simple. The purpose of a stress test team is to make sure the work you're putting out, whether it's music, videos, other content, can handle the pressure of a negative response. The true test lies in whether you can continue to believe in it, stand by it, and remain proud of it, no matter how tough the criticism is. Stress testing is common in finance and in journalism, and is sometimes referred to as a red team. Usually the team will unite together with the purpose of challenging your work. This is not your typical roundtable opportunity for general feedback, and instead they try to find faults, cracks, and apply pressure to see if the content or you yourself will fall apart. The ultimate goal of a stress test team or red team is to enhance decision making. This can be done by specifying the adversary's preference or strategies, or by simply attacking as a devil's advocate. For an artist, a stress test team is needed for different reasons. The first reason is to ensure that you are effectively prioritizing your efforts. For instance, let's say you're super excited about a new project, whether it's a video or an album, and you want to spend time and money on it. In your heart, you might want to adopt the most popular, trending sound or style, thinking it's a ticket to stardom and a quick way to success and fame. A stress test team would examine and push hard on every single reason why this may not be a good idea. For example, a new project that strays from your original sound might alienate your core fan base. Your new style might fit into today's wave, but the project may not play to your original strengths and might be a departure too far away from the brand and image that you've spent so much time cultivating. Trends are often short-lived, so they may sometimes not be worth sinking a lot of time and money into. At the end of the day, there's a chance you may not be as passionate as you think, which will show in the work produced. Having a team to poke holes in your logic, play devil's advocate, and highlight potential consequences can help determine whether it's something where you should put your effort or not. Also, it doesn't mean you have to drop the concept or plan completely. A stress test team could also potentially discover ways for you to incorporate aspects of a trend into your current style for longevity of your brand rather than temporarily riding a wave. The second reason for a stress test team or red team is to ensure that your project and release strategy is at the highest quality. A great red team should hammer at your project with a hypercritical eye. They'll point out fixable flaws, giving you the opportunity to polish the project toward perfection. The best stress test teams will hold nothing back and to the best of their abilities objectively criticize your work with the most negative feedback and opinions, similar to fans, critics, and haters that you'll inevitably experience once you put your art out into the world. If you continue to proudly love and stand strong by your art, even after facing all the hard grilling from your team, then you'll know it's something you truly want to release. This is actually a strategy Motown Records used when they were a dominant force in the music industry from the 60s to the 1980s. Each morning, there was a quality control meeting where producers, songwriters, and executives would get in a room, listen to songs, and critique them. They were looking for where improvements could be made and trying to determine if each song was a hit. They'd vote, and if enough people thought the song was a hit, it'd be released. If not, it went back to the floor to be workshopped or would go into the vault. Using this method, Motown had an array of artists dominating the charts and was one of the earliest pop music factories. Two of Motown's biggest groups struggled to get songs out of the quality control process, The Temptations and Diana Ross and the Supremes. Both groups, for a while, were considered hitless, but when they finally got songs through the quality control process, their careers took off. So what makes a good stress test team? First, it shouldn't necessarily only consist of people who are caught up in the same enthusiasm as you. They could be outsiders who don't have a stake or vested interest in what you're building, which is helpful because they'll be objective, or you might bring in friends, family, collaborators, or peers whose opinions you trust or may have once advised you against your decision before you even worked on it. Test out your patience and persistence against them now that you've actually done it. If you choose your friends, make sure they're the ones who are always critical and really skeptical about everything in general. Second, they should be people whose opinions you really value and trust. How seriously will you take a critique if you can just sidestep it by saying, I don't trust them, they don't know anything? If possible, use people with experience in your field. Depending on what you're testing, it can be beneficial to get people with a background and knowledge on the specific subject, as they can give an informed perspective and use their experience, especially for business ventures and content development and production. A caveat to consider is if you're testing something like a song, it can be actually helpful to use casual listeners, kids, strangers, or any variety of sources to collect raw, honest feedback. They will usually judge it on emotion, immediate impact, or catchiness rather than a technical judgment. Also, it's beneficial to use the same people as the core of your red team, with new voices scattered in when you're looking for critical feedback. If you build a consistent team, the more they do the exercise, the better they'll get, which will improve the process. Finally, pick people who know when to stop and when to continue testing you. As helpful as it is to give tough and challenging feedback, there's a fine line. Going overboard with the criticism can kill your motivation and confidence. However, if they don't push you far enough, then weaknesses might be overlooked and you and your art won't fully evolve towards excellence. This isn't a perfect process, but it's one that can be very beneficial to refining and polishing a project or determining whether or not to pursue an intense project, campaign, or tour. Almost every idea, concept, design, or plan benefits from healthy opposition and testing. In both art and business, quality and timing are important, so figure out how to use a stress test team, determine who should be on it, and decide when to use them effectively. As an artist, it's normal to avoid pessimistic people to protect your heart, dreams, and ego, especially when you're creating something that might be very personal and private. However, if you want to put out the most successful project, you need to prove to yourself and others that you can stand strong against those views and not blow in the wind because of a little negative feedback. If you'd like to dig thoroughly into how to set up a stress test team and the types of questions they should ask to challenge you, check out the links in the description below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment about something you learned or about the types of videos you want to see in the future going forward. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to share this video with a friend.